What I'm saying is
Cool.
the most pro-Palestinian thing you could ever say, because I'm advocating for peace and freedom for both Palestinians and Israelis. And that's what I'm talking about. And there's only one way you're going to get that, and that's for Israelis and Palestinians to make peace. And that's the only thing that people should be talking about. And I'm guessing we all agree on.
We do. You juxtapose that with they have been trying to kill all the Jews for X amount of time.
That's right. That's what I'm
You're
saying.
opener.
So
you can't say that
that's
like
the
the
number
history
one
doesn't matter and I want to focus on now, but also say, and this is happening because they've been trying to kill us since the dawn of time.
That's exactly
what we're doing.
Yeah. Perfect. So okay, so you said like 60,000 quoted by Hamas. This number given by Hamas: 60,000 Palestinians were killed in Gaza. After October 7th, how many of those 60,000 were alive on October 6th, 2023?
So Lou, I have a question.
All of them. So don't do October 7th. Stop trying to genocide Israel. Make peace with Israel, and none of these people would be dead.
So Lou, can I ask you a
question?
question?
End of story. Make peace. That's it. And you're not going to make peace by dehumanizing, demonizing, talking shit about Israel, chanting from the river to the sea, chanting
none of us
globalizing a party. You're going to make peace by making peace. That's the way it works. What I'm saying is the most pro-Palestinian thing you could ever say.
You're in America. Do you understand that?
Right.
You're in America. All that shit you talk about, I don't see none of that go on, bro. This is America.
Well, I got a question.
We're not over there. We're not in Israel. Like you're preaching like that happens if I go outside right now, and it's not. It's not, bro. They're not kicking
everywhere. It
Jews
doesn't matter
outside
where you're from.
I got a question for you, Lou.
Why is it everything that you say is like that's it, and anything that we say is like, oh no?
Well, I got a question.
Because I'm right and you're wrong.
He honestly believes. He just said everything Israel does is right. Like they don't make any mistakes.
It's like we're on.
I would never say that about the United States.
Like I talked with this about Rasham before going on here. I wanted to avoid the dogpiling effect. It's kind of like 4 versus 1, and this other dude, he's kind of in the middle. It's not really like I kind of have an ally with this other dude, but it's really like 4 versus 1 here.
You have an ally with us if you stop name calling and all the things.
At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We all want peace and freedom for everybody. So and what I'm trying to say, the way you get to peace is by making peace. Bam.
Right. So I have a question. Right. Okay. So, and I agree with you, man. You know, we all want peace. That's the main thing.
Right.
I really do. I feel you on that. So my thing is though, is that, okay, so you know how, you know, you said that Israel is doing all this for survival. Well, my question is, hey, just for 1 second, brother, just for 1 second, can you look and maybe turn that and see it from a Palestinian perspective, and maybe some 100%. Of the things, you know what I mean? So real quick. So like, if their families are getting murdered and bombed, just like October 7th happened to Israel, and their families and stuff got murdered, don't you think that this cycle is going to continue, and you're just making more Hamas fighters due to a lot of the overhandedness that's happening with the collective punishment and everything like that? You don't think that this is that you say peace makes peace, but how does this make peace? Right. This is just going to continue.
It doesn't matter how many or few people get killed. All that matters is that there's 2 people here. They need to make peace. That's it.
Right, but how do we get
what
there?
Happened in the past?
No, I get.
A whole bunch of horrible stuff has happened in the past to all these people. You know, what matters now is making peace. Israelis and Palestinians have to say, okay, enough is enough. Let's make peace, 2-state solution. Let's hammer out these details, and we're going to coexist in peace and security with each other.
Do you think the Netanyahu and Ben Gvir and all of them, they're on board with that?
100%.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think Bibi wants that. I don't think that Zionists want that, and I'm a
diehard Zionist, and that's what we want.
No,
if you were a diehard Zionist, why would you live in America?
You know how many times Israel has offered Palestinians their own country, their own free Palestine? 7 times. 7 times. You know how many times Palestinians rejected it? 7 times, because it meant accepting Israel's right to exist. It meant making peace. Palestinians have not been able to do it, and that's the only roadblock here. Palestinians have to make peace with Israel.
Let me talk. I am going to go to a pivotal moment in this kind of storyline in history that's often overlooked, even in modern historical perspectives. The assassination of Rabin. That was not Palestine. That was Zionist Israelites. I don't even like to use the word Jew, by the way. I often will avoid saying that word. But that was Zionist wing of Israel that eventually led to Bibi taking power. That was
true,
a very pivotal moment in this history because there was...
Why do you keep cutting them off, man? Why can't you let them cook?
The peace didn't go through because Yasser Arafat rejected the peace plan. Whether the dude got assassinated or not, the Palestinians rejected the peace plan. There were and there were 6 other times they got offered their own country, and they rejected all 6
I'm not going to deny that. I'm just pointing to this one moment in history.
All right, one moment in like thousands of moments, man. The one moment that has an anti-Semitic tinge to it. It's not cool. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. The only thing that helps is making peace. Both sides need to make peace with each other. That's the only thing that helps. Anything that takes away from peace is detrimental.
About that stuff again, Jim, I need you to hear me on something. The word Zionist and Zionism has been thoroughly colloquialized over the last couple of years, and at this point, it's a slur. And I have to tell you, I'm really offended by that. It doesn't mean what the word Zionism and Zionist isn't what you're describing. It doesn't mean what I think you're insinuating. And the fact that you're making that differentiation by saying, I'm not saying Jew, I'm saying Zionist, is really offensive to me. Well, if you want to do a deep dive on it, I'm happy to. I just want, for the sake of this conversation, that's the first time in this conversation I've actually been offended, and I'm really offended by that.
I don't mean to do that. I certainly don't mean it.
How about you guys define it? You guys define it for us.
Okay. The definition of a Zionist is simply someone who thinks that Israel has a right to exist.
Yeah.
And by that definition, I think we're all Zionists.
Zionism.
It means you don't want to genocide Israel.
But Jim, you were on the right. You were on the right path, and I think that's the point in history to go back to deal with everything from there forward in terms of this conversation. I think you're absolutely right for that.
What I am saying is that there has been a wing of Israelis that are pretty hell-bent on not having peace with the Palestinian people. Much like Hamas is hell-bent on not having peace with the Israeli people, there has been a wing of Israelis that have been pretty hell-bent on not having peace with Palestine.
That's the vast minority of Israelis. That's the vast minority.
They're the equivalent of Branch Davidians.
They might be the vast minority, but they're in charge.
They are. Well,
no, that's not true. That's not true. Netanyahu wants a two-state solution. He wants peace.
No, he can say that all he wants, but he hasn't demonstrated that.
He
hasn't. Well, he hasn't demonstrated that.
But in 2008, Palestinians were offered their own independent, free Palestine. They rejected it in 2008 because it meant accepting Israel's right to exist. Criticizing Israel. Okay, why don't you criticize Palestinians for not accepting Israel's right to exist?
Hold on 1 second.
I like your mug.
Can we go back to the Zionist thing?
Sorry,
Rod. Why is I hear Zionist a lot. Why is that a slur now? What makes it a slur?
That's interesting. I wondered that too.
It is certainly it's used as a slur. It's wielded like a weapon. Oh, you're a Zionist. Don't be a Zionist. Right.
Yeah. Now they call it Zio, Z-I-O. That's like the even more derogatory. It's trying to be like a swear word.
You know what it is? It's so. Okay. This is interesting. So you guys obviously are Jewish. So you guys have these conversations probably like on a every day.
No, quite every day.
But much more than we do.
We talk amongst ourselves about what we're hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think you've just enlightened. To be honest, you just enlightened me that people take offense to that word, because I never saw it used that way, because the people that I talk to don't use it in that term. Like, but I do think, Lou, my definition matches with what you were saying. It's like the right to have your own, basically a homeland, right? Now, not every walk of life gets their own homeland, but I do think every walk of life should have their own homeland.
I agree 100%.
So
yeah.
I see it that way, but I think you guys both just kind of opened my eyes to like how that word, instead of it being like an ideology, it's become like an attack. And so I just want to say thank you guys for letting me see, because I wouldn't have known that otherwise. So
and I can agree with you on that. No, and I agree with you on that, because real quick, Lou, before you hopped on, Charles and I and Rod, we were talking about how in Chicago, growing up, there used to be Maxwell Street, which was called Jewtown, and that's what we just called it. You know what I mean? And I had no idea. Growing up, that's all you called it. I didn't know that was a bad thing. And then you would also say that you would go there and you would Jew down, like, for bargains and stuff. And that was just the term that we grew up knowing to use.
Yeah, man,
and
I didn't. Was it? Huh? That was the place to be.
I used to love it, man.
School shopping the whole
line. I was just down there.
That's what I was telling them,
I was there. We went there to UIC with my work, and I almost called it Jewtown because I'm so used to it. I had to stop myself, because that's just because you can't do that. And I realize now, growing up, that terminology was wrong.
You want to know how old I was before I learned that was wrong, Lou? I was 17, 18 years old before
because I never associated that.
I never associated the two.
I just associated that's the name, because that's all we knew.
That's just lingo.
My point is that what you guys just said about Zionists kind of did the same thing with Jewtown for me. Like, I didn't know that either. I didn't know that it was a slur, and I want you to know that as well.
We moved on too fast in that part of the conversation, Rashawn, because the next thing I was going to say was, in the next town over, there was a hill that we all used to go buy pot in, and we called that hill Browntown.
Yeah.
Right. even the black kids called that hill Browntown. We didn't see anything wrong with it, right? We didn't see anything wrong with it. All the black people lived there. That not all the black people that lived in that area of the state, but that whole neighborhood was a brown neighborhood, right? We just called it Browntown. There was nothing behind it. We didn't mean anything by it, right?
But Lou, real quick, brother, and I know you. I don't want you to ever feel like you're getting dogpiled, man. I just want you to kind of see what just happened here. Like, that's kind of like we want to have. That's why I wanted to have this talk, because everybody's got to be open to listen to each other and stuff like that, right? And so, because we had that moment where we were able to just let a person talk and actually listen, you guys just enlightened us, right? And so, I guess what I'm asking for, maybe from your side, brother, is that, man, I get the anger. I get everything. I a lot of the reading that I've been going up, they were talking about, how your people have been, ostracized and demonized for centuries and hundreds of years. And eventually they were like, hey, we just need our own country, which I get, for our security, which I get, you know what I mean? I get all that, I just want, think that maybe, through conversation, through talk, maybe people can come to some sort of like, there's always a gray area. Everything's not just black and white, and maybe they can come and meet in the middle somewhere and, find some sort of compromise. So like yourself, you said you just want peace. What do you think is the best way to get there with what would you think would be like the best proper way? Because I don't think bombing a people like that's happening is the best solution. I think there's better ways.
I mean, like you just said, and like I was just saying, I think the most important thing, because like you guys, I think most of you are like liberal Democrats and stuff. And like, then you got people like me. I don't define myself by political parties, but at the end of the day, I think what you said, conversation, understanding that most of us want the same thing, which is peace for all people. I want peace and freedom for Palestinians as much as I want for Israelis, as much as I want for all people. I think that's what most people want, but we get so lost in the sauce. We get so divided through all these nuances, through social media algorithms, showing kids getting bombed. And then it's like, we're at each other's throats. We got to cut to the chase and have dialogues and conversations and don't start with the means, start with the ends that we all want. We all want peace and most of us want peace and security for everyone, Israelis and Palestinians, Muslims, Jews, and Christians, we want peace. So start with that common goal and work backwards from there, yeah.
That's basically the ends justify the means statement right there.
There you go.
That tells me that you will, and this isn't an attack, but that tells me that you will justify anything to what you believe is the end, which is what you have done throughout the conversation. Is continually people say, how do you justify this? And you keep justifying it, and it is horrible things that the Israeli government and military is doing to
well, bro, you're justifying horrible things that Hamas is doing to Israelis.
I am not. No.
You're justifying horrible.
No, I have never done that.
Yes,
I have never done that. I would welcome you to rewind this.
You're generally justifying horrible murder and genocide of.
No,
that's not at all what I'm saying.
I think this is where the conversation always falls apart. Like we get kind of far, right? And then we always fall apart here because so I don't think Jim say justifying Hamas, at all. Nope. I think that we can say, hey, Hamas did a horrible thing. Hey, the Israeli government's doing a horrible thing. I think two things can be right at the same time. You know what I mean? I don't think it has to be one or the other. And I think that's the point that I feel like, lots of times when, we're discussing it, that gets missed because I feel you, brother. You know what I mean? Like you said something to me that was really interesting when we had that conversation on Facebook, and I messaged you and I was like, man, you really think I'm anti-Semitic? You said, no, it's the intent though. You don't have the intention of it, but it's the end that happens, Yeah, and it kind of hit me because I'm black, right? And I know that lots of times people don't realize when they're being racist. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, right. I kind of understand what you were saying there, but I still want to understand how me saying, hey, Israeli is wrong for doing what they're doing, and I also believe that Hamas is wrong too, makes me anti-Semitic. I feel like, again, two things can be right at the same time. And I think that's where the conversation breaks down because like with Jim, he's not saying Hamas is right. He's not defending Hamas at all. But then you kind of blasted him, like said, man, you're defending Hamas. And I don't think that's what
that's not his intention, but it's the outcome of what he's saying.
It's not
the equivalent of inherent racial bias, right?
Right.
The assumption. Yeah. It's about assumption, and it doesn't matter what you mean by, like, say, the expression "from the river to the sea." From the river to the sea as an expression exists, and it means something, and it means the wiping Israel of Jews. That's what it is.
Yeah, right. Doesn't Israel use that same term?
Hang on, let me just, because I don't want to. Do you guys know why Oslo blew up and why every attempt since and it has blown up? Do you guys know why there's not already a two-state solution in place?
Well, I thought it was because there was just violence on both sides. Like the people that were occupying the West Bank, people, and then there was violence from the Palestinian side as well. I thought it was both sides kind of fucked up the Oslo.
It's not a one-sided conversation.
That's what I thought. But tell me, please tell me.
There is in recent history, and by recent history, I'm going to go back 20 or 30 35 years. The reason there is not a two-state solution is Hamas.
Bam. It's true.
And I don't mean that in esoteric terms. Do you guys know who started Hamas and why and where he came from?
I actually don't know.
Okay, so Hamas was started by a guy whose name I'm going to butcher, so I'm not even going to try. Hamas is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, right? Which is just to tie this in a little bit more recently, the Rafah Gate, which is the southern entrance to Gaza, which Israel kept getting blamed for keeping closed when there were lines of aid trucks. Okay, that's not Israel. That's Egypt. And the reason that Egypt would not open the gate is because they are terrified of the Muslim Brotherhood getting any more of a foothold in Egypt than they already have, right? So Hamas was started by a guy who was leadership in Muslim Brotherhood, and it was started for the express purpose of killing the peace process. Both intifadas weren't just started by, they were carried out by Hamas. They were carried out by Hamas. Hamas quite literally, and the Intifada is famous for lovely things like blowing up buses full of children, right? and I don't mean city buses. I mean school buses too, right? So the reason that there's not a two-state solution is literally because of Hamas. Literally because of Hamas. It's not an esoteric thing. It's not lofty in any way. It is literally because of Hamas. So, while I feel personally pretty strongly that Israel has gone way too far, I also understand that portion of Israel that said, you know what, fuck it, kill them all. I understand it. They are, all of them, everybody there, Christians, Muslims, Jews, Zoroastrians, they're exhausted.
I got to push back on that because there's no one in Israel that said kill all those people. There's no one. They said kill Hamas, not anyone else.
Yeah,
I've heard
otherwise.
Show me one person who's ever said that.
What's the dude?
You're telling me in the whole world you don't believe one person ever said it? Not one?
Mm-mm.
No,
what's the?
He doesn't believe that the Israel government has done anything wrong.
They haven't.
Who is that guy that's in there?
Has the United States government ever did anything wrong?
Yeah.
What was Joe Biden talking about? What about Joe Biden was standing next to Bibi Netanyahu with his arm around that fat fuck? What did he mean when he said, "Don't make the same mistake we made"? What did he mean?
Oh yeah. Wait. Repeat that.
When Joe Biden was standing in that fucking photo op 3 days later with his arm around Bibi Netanyahu, and he said the words, "Don't make the same mistake we did." What did he mean?
I don't know.
He meant Mosul.
I'm not familiar with that. What?
He meant Mosul. Right?
Okay.
He meant Mosul, where we surrounded a town, a small city, that was at least perceived as the heart of the insurgency in Iraq, and we killed the town. The estimates are between 10 and 14,000 civilians that we killed, that we slaughtered, right? That's what Joe Biden meant.
How do you know that? What's your proof?
Oh God, dude. You go.
What is your proof? That sounds like a really far-fetched assumption.
It's not an assumption. Go find the clip and read the stories around it. You have a computer in front of you. You have a computer.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And there's not.
He was referring specifically in general to going into Iraq and specifically about Mosul. We killed somewhere between 10 and 14,000 civilians in Mosul. We did it. We did. Americans, the shining city on the hill. We did that, right?
So, all right. Well, all I'm saying is that Israelis only want to wipe out Hamas, no one else, and they have every right to do so after October 7th. And not only every right, they have an obligation to do it.
And certainly, my friends in Israel would agree with some of that.
Yeah, and the majority of Israelis want peace and a two-state solution with Palestinians, as I do. I think the PA, Fatah, they want a two-state solution too. The majority of all of Arab countries, I think, would support a two-state solution. It's just Hamas and like the Muslim Brotherhood and like the crazy fanatics that don't.
Does that have something to do with their religion?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It has to do with the misinterpretation of their religion, because Islam is actually pro-peace, it's pro-Israel, it's pro-Jewish, it's pro-Muslim, it's pro-Christian. But a lot of people misconstrue and take out of context Christianity. They take out of context Muslim too, and they turn it into a weaponized, horrible thing. That's not real Islam. That's not real Christianity.
I like that you pointed that out, man. That's a good point, man.
Religion is weaponized all the time.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Listen, and then it's anti-religion because that's not what that religion's really about.
Exactly.
I'd like to go back and make a point for something that was talked about 10 minutes ago, and we were talking about Jews having a homeland, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was, I don't remember the words, Rashan, I don't remember your exact words, but it was basically, something to the effect of after the Second World War, we got our own homeland. But I just would like to point out, we just celebrated Christmas, right? Christmas is about Jesus, who lived about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and he was Jewish.
And Israeli. He lived in Judea, Jerusalem, Judea, Israel as a Jew, and as an Israeli 2,025 years ago he was born.
So the idea that Israel is a colonial state that came about when Eastern European Jews moved there after the Second World War is not true. And
it's not true.
That narrative really that narrative is really false narrative is really problematic, right? We never left.
It's true.
The last time colonialism existed in Israel was when the British were there, and it absolutely did when the British were there.
But okay, and I hear you, brother. So what about the diaspora and all that, where, like you said, they were coming in from Europe and places like that? Now, what about like that wasn't a thing though? Like,
that's a real brief history. The word Jewish in Judaism comes from the land of Judea, which is part of the ancient land of Israel, which was born about 4,000 years ago. The holiday Passover celebrates the birth of Israel about 4,000 years ago. It's part of Christianity too. Over the past 2,500 years, colonizing militaries came into Israel's the Holy Land and kicked the indigenous Jews out. Greeks, Romans, Brits, Persians, Turks, etc.
And Israel
the Spanish Inquisition for thousands of years. Jews were kicked out of their homeland, and but there's never been a point where all the Jews left. There's always been a continuous Jewish presence in their indigenous homeland of Israel. After they got kicked out for 3,000 years, they went anywhere that accepted them. So they went to Europe, they went to Africa, they went to USA, they went to other parts of the Middle East, and over 2,000 years, they kind of assimilated to the culture, started to look like the people there. So, and then 1948, we got our country back after 2,000 years.
Right.
It's the biggest decolonization project of all. It's the biggest decolonization project of all time. And so now Jews are coming back to their homeland.
And Israel is still majority brown.
See, I think that's pretty. I think that's interesting because that's a perspective I've never heard before. Because I always looked at it as colonization. I never looked at it as decolonization. To me, it was always like, yeah. So I'm not disputing it. I mean, I'm just saying like that's a very interesting perspective. That's something that I've never.
British Israel under British control. That's where the word Palestine comes from. It was called British Palestine.
Yeah.
That absolutely was a colonial era in Israel, but it was only the last. It certainly wasn't the first.
Right.
There's a monument in Rome. There's a monument in Rome called the Ark of Titus. That represents in 70 AD. There was a great Jewish revolt against the Roman occupation. This is all New Testament stuff too. The Romans destroyed Israel in 70 AD, and they renamed Israel Palestine after the ancient Philistines. The Philistines are Greek pirates, European pirates. They're ancient enemies of the Israelites. They renamed the Palestine to spite the Jews, and it was called Palestine up until 1948. Which, by the way, when Israel was created, they also offered the Palestinian Arabs their own country of Palestine in 1948. They rejected it.
Lou, say the word. It's the same word, Hebrew and in Arabic. What is the Hebrew and Arabic word for Palestine?
I don't know. You tell me. Philistine. Yeah. Philistine.
What was the giant that David fought?
You guys know the story of You guys know the story of David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
David was an Israeli. King David was an Israelite. Goliath was a Philistine. Do you know the story of Samson and Delilah?
Yeah.
So Samson and Delilah were Israelites. The houses that Samson knocked down, those were the Philistine houses. They were Greek pirates.
Okay.
How does exile fit into all of this? Like God's exile.
The Jews were exiled for 2,000 years after the Romans, Greeks kicked them out of Israel. They went to Europe. They went to other parts of the Middle East. They went to Africa. There's a tribe of Israel in Ethiopia.
I've heard they're all over the place, and I think
they got kicked out. They went all over the place, and now they're coming back. I got to be right back.
Jesus, you should look up the story of Masada. It'll fuck you up, man.
Well, I guess my question, Rod, is if God put put the people in exile, there should be something that happens that brings them out of exile, right?
God didn't. Yeah, I'm a cultural Jew.
Oh, okay.
I'm not Dottie.
Okay, yeah, no, don't even worry about it.
Maybe Luke can answer that for you. But
what's that? What's the question?
My question is, if God put the people in exile, what event did God perform to bring them back out of exile? Because it can't be, hey, we went and talked to the British people and got this land. There had to be, like, I always thought it was awaiting the Messiah's return. But
that is kind of the freaky thing. Are any of you raised Christian or currently Christian?
Yeah,
I was raised Christian.
All right, so the last book of the New Testament is the book of Revelations.
Yeah.
All right, so the New Testament was written in the first 3 centuries AD, like 70 AD to 300. The Revelations was written around 300. So in the year 300, the guy who wrote Revelation says that the Messiah is going to return. I mean, Israel was no longer a country. It's called Palestine. When the book of Revelation was written.
Right.
All right, so he said that the Messiah is going to return. For the Messiah to return, Israel has to become a country again. It has to be a Jewish country, and there needs to be a lot of Jews there for the Messiah to return. That's what's prophesied in the last book of the New Testament. That's why especially evangelical Christians support Israel, because this is like kind of freaky prophecy coming to life just in the past 100 years. It's the first time in the world that like a country that was destroyed came back and became a country again.
I gotta say that a lot of evangelical Christians governing based on Revelations is terrifying, but that's a whole different conversation to be had.
Well, yeah, and I just want to. So basically, we're gonna wrap it. We gotta wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is I want everybody to maybe leave with like a final thought, something that you want to say, on the way out. Jesus, let's start with you, brother.
I will say, should I give it a second? Lou, you gonna cut me off, or are we good? Can I
got it, man.
I'm gonna say this, man. You guys definitely enlightened. Like you guys said some things that, especially the whole Zionist thing, like the term and the way that it's used, that was eye-opening. I do feel like the conversation. You ever have a girlfriend and she's always treating you a different way because of all of the people that messed her up before she got to you? Lou, I feel like that was us. We were the person that was like, yo, let's have this great conversation. And you held everyone else's conversation against us. And it was like, oh man, we're just trying to we're trying to gather some info here and see what's going on. I do think though, you guys gave some great info. I didn't expect it to go kind of the way it did. And I think you made some great points about just how that conflict isn't just an easy thing to solve. People have to come together, just like you said, Lou. People have to come together and say, hey, we're going to get to an end. I do think the current government in Israel is not interested in that. That's just my opinion. But I think a lot of the people there are very much interested in that. Because I know there's a lot of people here that are very interested, not just Americans, but American Jewish people as well. So, thanks for the conversation. You got Rod. I feel like you're just a walking almanac, man. You got some good information, and it was
I'm
good
just
to sit
old.
It was good.
How about you, Lou? What you got for us, brother?
All right, yeah, real quick. There's only one solution: peace. Make peace with Israel and Palestine, and all the problems go away. Palestine, Absolutely. Israel, make peace. That's it. It's the only real solution.
Absolutely, brother. What about you, Jim?
I just kind of want to throw an overarching, this has been my position on this for the entire conflict, and I'm generally in most circles considered pretty far left. I have never been that person walking around chanting from the river to the sea. I sincerely feel that Israel does deserve to exist. After October 7th, I thought that the U.S. extending aid to Israel based on that was extremely justified, which is an unpopular opinion with a lot of my friends. It is. I still think it was justified based on that attack. But Israel's continued actions are not justified. Bombing hospitals is not justified. And again, international politics is a dirty game, but by the letter of the law for international politics and warfare, you can't bomb a hospital. And you can't, for me, you can't continually justify bombing schools and hospitals based on Hamas is under that. And that's been my stance on it for quite a while, is that the initial action, the initial response completely justified, but the ongoing response over the last, what are we going on, 2 years at this point, you can't justify these actions, and they're continuing, and people are continuing to justify them.
All right, cool. What about you, Rod?
No red wine with fish. Come on.
No red wine.
I really appreciate this conversation. I think it had some lively moments, but I really appreciate this conversation, and I think you know that we talked about this before this podcast got started. That it's just we're living in the most polarized time of my lifetime, and it applies to everything, not just in politics and not just in this country. And I think the notion that if you are not all of one thing, then you must obviously be trying to hide the fact that you are all of the other thing is a thing that is pervasive in general and in this conversation specifically. And I think I saw everybody in this room try and move past that at different times during this conversation, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Charlo, my brother, what you got, man?
A headache?
He said a headache.
No, it's just it's like I like to have a tough conversation. Sometimes it gets a little loud, sometimes it gets a little rowdy, but that's just conversation, man. It is what it is. Man, Lou, you need to calm down, man. You need to take a chill pill, bro. Like, cause really, like, I don't think I know enough about the whole situation to even be an anti-Semite. So like you calling me that is super weird. Like, just because I said that Israel didn't do everything right, that doesn't. Like I said, if you listen to any of our other podcasts, I don't think the United States does anything right or a lot of stuff right. So I mean, that's just my critique on the government. But that doesn't make me or anybody else like racist towards the people. The people and the government are two separate things, and they operate separately too. So I mean, just keep that in mind when you're going through your debates, that they might be talking not from a personal point of view, but from a government point of view. And it's always shady stuff when it comes to that. Nothing, I mean, you could think it's perfect if you want, but I'm telling you, it's shady stuff going on in the Israeli government, the Libyan government, any government you want to name. So, it is.
I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it.
But good having you on. I appreciate the input. You got a lot of knowledge, and just keep going. You can get your point across, man. You calm down and just a little less aggressive. You can get your point across.
I want y'all to know that this was something that I had been wanting to do for a long time, and I appreciate you all coming on and having this conversation with me. I agree with you, Lou. I think that everybody basically wants the same things. It's just that I feel like we all argue about how to get them. You know what I mean? I think that's where the breakdown happens. But at the end of the day, people, like I said before in other podcast, we want clean water. We want clean air to breathe. We want food. We want our children to grow up. We want to be able to afford a house, a home. We want to be able to send our kids to school safely. We all want the same things. The problem is the breakdown again is how we get there. Right. I do think that, one of the first steps is, conversations like this, man, having these tough conversations, and I appreciate the fact that you came on and expressed yourself and you didn't hold back, because, to me, I gained a lot of perspective from all this. You too, Rod. I want you to know the same as well, man. You coming on, there's a lot of things I didn't know. I didn't realize, because you're right. There are some things out there in the media that do point stories one way, and you do see a lot of images and things like that make you start thinking, wow, this is, it's just cut and dry. So I try to find the gray area in everything. And I feel like you guys help me, move a little bit closer to that area. So again, I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for coming on. Maybe I hope to see you guys again sometime. It's Conversations to Be Had podcast. Thank you, and we'll see you next clip. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Nice meeting you. Bye.